All right, so get this. We are now at the point with AI video where you can merge one meme into another. The internet is creating a meme cinematic universe. This is crazy. A new AI model called Prism 1 has been released. It's a dynamic scene reconstruction model. Yeah, that's right. Everything you're looking at right now is generated. But listen, that's not to say AI generated video is there yet. Look what happens when it comes to gymnastics. I mean, it kind of understands gymnastics. Like, there's something about it that seems right, but obviously a lot of it's very, very wrong. It's like it just doesn't understand the real human body, you know? But it is really good at classification, and that means detecting potholes in Dubai. And now with robots that can mimic someone remotely, we can now outsource work and kind of keep it in-house through robotics. Yeah, why does the robot look more depressed than the human making less than $4 an hour? Meta announced a sick new state-of-the-art 3D model generator. Yeah, OpenAI has been hacked. Actually, they were hacked a while ago. They just didn't tell us, and we found out now. Tesla self-driving 12.4 has been released to a select few, and they're starting to do reviews on it, and it's different than anybody expected it to be. Both good and bad, kinda. It's strangely stupider, but also more talented, I would say, at driving. We're gonna dive into some psychology because Quantum Magazine is talking about why it is that humans perceive small numbers so much better than big numbers and why that makes it hard to understand the AI singularity. Then we're going to break down the 5 stages of AI grief. We're all going through it, so let's just acknowledge it up front and go through it together. There's an AI chip that can now see through walls using medium frequency electromagnetic waves. Kids' favorite play place, Roblox, is now working on 4D generative art, and I was like, what's the 4th dimension gonna do? But you'll see in the article. And author Daniel Lehewych wrote an interesting article just breaking down what exactly is social intelligence. With all these machines getting so smart, maybe we should define that a little better. But first I want to mention that this video is sponsored by Shortform, but more on that later. But first, we need to get to the bottom of this crime. AI is making cats look like the thieves that they are. Is this real? I'm sorry, I know I shouldn't. Yes, I saw it happen when I was at a fish market in San Diego. But here's where AI is pushing the limits too much. I never thought that all memes might be connected until I saw this. Definitely don't send this to a friend. AI can now perfectly morph one meme into another, giving us a unified world of memes. But like the Matrix, it kind of breaks the whole meme universe. Like this comment says, this is what's called the Rickroll paradox. The definition of a Rickroll is expecting a certain video only for it to cut to Rick. Yet the bio clearly states that AI will blend one meme into another. A Rickroll is a meme, therefore we expected another meme to come, meaning that Rickroll was expected, which creates the paradox because by definition, a Rickroll cannot be expected. I mean, I don't know if that quote came from Gandhi. So check out this new AI model. It is a cutting-edge 4D scene reconstruction model designed for autonomous driving simulations. So Prism 1 is taking real footage, sort of simulated, and then adding it to what they call the Ghost Gym Simulator. And that improves the realism and adaptability of simulations by accurately capturing urban dynamic elements like pedestrians, cyclists, and various lighting conditions. But it's just fascinating. It's like sometimes I watch those like GTA mods where they like ultra hyper realistic. It seems like it's kind of on that level. Like the Prism 1's ability to reconstruct scenes from various viewpoints and essentially test driving models under a complex scenarios is incredible. I can totally imagine how self-driving cars might be learning from this in a much more accurate way for a simulation, especially if it's augmented with real data than the stuff that I was seeing before. Just like the dirt here, and to be able to throw random cyclists in at any point and see if the car hits them and then have that be simulated data that can learn from, that's going to make it smarter when we're finally out on a road and like something happens in a 1 in a million. I mean, these bikers seem pretty realistic to me. Those puddles look so real. I mean, of course there's little things kind of wrong with this simulation if you get close frame by frame, but it's real enough that I can imagine how a self-driving car that's learning from mistakes could really be learning a lot from this simulation. And here you can see some footage uploaded by the same company from March where they were taking footage that looks a whole lot like that simulated footage. Oh my gosh, I could never get used to driving on that side of the road. I'm like stressed out just watching it. Such an instinct to go to the right side of that van. Oh. Now we are starting to see some amazing AI generated video. Like just in the last few weeks, having Gen 3 open and Sora models starting to like come out like the Toys R Hire Us video. But they're still chosen, they're handpicked, they're put together with editors and music into nice looking things, but there's still problems. And when I saw someone say that gymnastics is the Turing test of video generation models, I was like, kind of, after seeing how poorly it understands the way the human body moves. It's so weird. I'm kind of like, what am I watching? Like, I see, okay, they run, she's flipping, like spins, it kind of lands, and you see the people in the background stay pretty stable watching, but the flipping, no, not at all. What is that? Oh my gosh. There's like 10 of them. It's just like cloned, or they just... No. But where'd that bar come from? What the heck is that thing? Oh, no. Now, how is that even a person? No. See, even from a distance, I'm not buying any of that. But AI being used in one of the least dangerous ways I can imagine, it can find potholes, and it can just tell the city where the potholes are so teams can go out and fix them. And Dubai was like, let's just implement this right now and start using it. So that's what they did. And it makes total sense. So new AI technology will be used to detect road deficits in Dubai. You can imagine it just going down the street like any other car, and when it hits a pothole, it actually gives that information to the Transport Network and Road Safety Commission. The technology will be able to detect cracks as small as 1 millimeter. I mean, what if there's a machine in the future that can just drive down the street, have like the sirens on, move really slow, and just patch all these things or something? The world of 2025 and beyond might be pothole free. That would be crazy. All these years. My whole life I've lived with potholes, but now the future of artificial intelligence is going to make that a distant memory. And on top of it made a virtual map of Dubai's roads that's 97% accurate. Nice. So maybe if you go to the grocery store in the future, instead of seeing a person in the aisle restocking everything, you might see a robot. And if you're ever wondering, oh, like, how does that robot know what it's doing? It might not be completely artificial intelligent made. It could be maybe somebody who's a remote worker in another country doing it for really cheap. So Avatar is real now? Kind of. So this is an MIT collaboration with a couple other universities, and it is called OpenTelevision. And it lets you immersively operate robots even if you're X amount, 3,000 miles away, just like in the movie Avatar. So real-time stereo video streaming provides spatial depth understanding. So the operator in the low-income country is confident about the object's location. And this enables fine manipulation with challenging objects such as transparent boxes. Not to mention, that they're recording how this robot moves all the time and using it as training data. So the same way we fill out CAPTCHAs and then we teach computer vision what to look for, like it's going to have humans powering these robots doing tasks around a grocery store or whatever, and then they're going to just use that data. And then those people won't need to be there anymore. So it's a temporary job even for those low-income workers. Oh, wow. You can just like shake hands with it or play paper, rock, scissors. Oh my God. I don't know about you, but I'm scared to shake hands with a robot. Like, what if it just breaks all the bone? I don't know. They could be so strong, So yep, that's UC San Diego and MIT working together. And the system's easily accessible from any device with a web browser. But before we talk about Meta's new 3D modeler, which is absolutely incredible, let's take a second to learn about the sponsor of this video. Shortform is a platform that provides detailed summaries and analysis of books and articles. So I use it to help me understand key concepts and insights as quickly as possible, and the kind of insights that I can use to make videos like this and share with you. So a book like this, Psychology, the things you can only see when you slow down, is really intriguing to me. So boom, bookmarked. But here you can just click start reading, boom, 1-page summary. It's not just books, it's articles too. And if you think about how much time I spend just like hunting down articles and trying to summarize them, it's like the perfect tool for me. Could AI trigger the next financial meltdown? How AI search could backfire on Google? This is great stuff for me to pull from and for me to think about and for me to learn. And Shortform is constantly updating this. There's new books and articles dropped every single week. And they're community driven. Subscribers actually can vote on what books they should cover next. So if you're interested in the service and you want to support the channel, you can go to shortform.com/curious and sign up, get access to thousands of articles and books for the price of actually just buying one full book each month. All right, back to Meta's big announcement. Guess what's happening with 3D? And this is the quality. So these are 3D objects that were generated with a single text description, and they were made in less than 60 seconds with the new model. I mean, come on, look at that dinosaur, that cactus. Those little trinkets look amazing. I mean, we have not seen anything that really went text to 3D with this level of quality. All right, so here you have a pug made out of metal, and honestly, that looks like it belongs on a Monopoly board to me. You could see moving that thing around just like a thimble. Or the boat. But there's such weird characters in that thing. A futuristic robot. And interestingly, it looks like it was auto-rigged, meaning there's like a bone structure in there, and then it was used with a pre-animation to make it work and animate, which is powerful because if you can get these things pre-rigged and then just like motion, like we are bridging the 3D gaming space so quickly. And of course, Meta needs that because they're building the metaverse. Look at that, a majestic monarch butterfly. Much butterfly, such majestic. I love it. So there you go. It uses two core components, Meta 3D Asset Gen for generating the initial 3D mesh and a Meta 3D texture generator for refining those textures. Process is fast, takes under a minute per generation. It supports physically based rendering for realistic lighting. And it can also retexture other 3D models. So like how we kept seeing those same objects retextured, which would be cool because if in a video game or something that Meta is using in the future, and then you like turn the lights off and want everything to have like a different sort of textured vibe, it could just generate that, you know? Ready Player One, coming soon. What if Mark Zuckerberg is actually James Hollanday? Dun, dun, dun. Plot twist. Yes, OpenAI had a data breach 2023. Forgot to tell us. New York Times reported that a hacker had gained access to the internal messaging system at OpenAI and stole details about the design the company was using for their artificial intelligence technologies. Maybe Leopold was right. Maybe he was fired unfairly. Kind of pulls that into question. So OpenAI executives did inform the employees during an all-hands meeting last year, but they neglected to tell the news publicly as no information about customers or partners had been stolen. You know, I guess if you just got your IP stolen, I kind of get it, but still. Considering what they're doing is like so freaking important, I hope they notified somebody, like some government officials or someone. And more importantly than that, I hope they completely rethought the way they secure everything because they have plenty of money to do that, and what they're building is super important. All right, there is some people who are getting a new Tesla full self-driving update, and I'm really curious to see how good it is. I am a Tesla driver. Right now, I have 12.3.5 on my Tesla, and it's pretty good. I'm a big fan of it. I use it every day. On almost every drive I take over at some point, especially in parking garages and things like that. But, you know, I feel a bit safer with the cameras helping me change lanes and sometimes just be extra eyes. But it's often an awkward driver, I would say. Like sometimes we're just like chilling in someone's blind spot for way too long, or we act weird. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, I'm acting weird. I have to break out of self-driving just to, fit in around here. So I was hoping that when 12.4 comes out, which is a big update, that would be fixed. And some people who are demoing it are showing that it kind of is, but it got really kind of weird and wonky in some places too. So the YouTuber AI Driver posted this a few weeks ago. According to Elon, it's a big update, roughly 5 to 10 times the improvement in miles per interventions versus 12.3, which I'm driving.
Around merges, but for me, it happens everywhere. Anytime I'm driving in an area where the car has more than one option of what lane it wants to be in, it immediately stresses me out because I know it's about to switch back and forth between them wildly.
I will say that's one of the most frustrating things for me too. It's not as bad as this 12.4 demo I'm watching, but all the time it changes lanes. Just when we're about to turn right, it's like, let's go to the left lane. And I'm like, we're just about to turn right. You're going to get in that lane and then come right back, So it does not seem like that problem has been solved. In fact, it might be much worse, at least according to this video.
See, I have a right turn on the navigation path, but I have the car all the way into the left-hand lane here.
But here's where it does something that's actually pretty smart. So this guy intentionally puts it in the far left lane and then says, I want to turn right. Whereas the version I have will try to get across all those lanes, but that's pretty awkward. This version, 12.4, look what it does. Smart enough to go the other direction and flip around.
But you can see 12.4 even turns on the signal and completely ignores that navigation route and does the proper thing. Not that 12.3 wasn't capable of moves like this, it's just that 12.4 is very consistent about it.
Now, let's head over to Quantum Magazine and dive into a little bit of the human psychology and talk about why it is that the human brain perceives small numbers better than large numbers. Okay, so a new study has findings that suggest that the human brain is using a combination of two different mechanisms to judge how many objects it sees. There's an entire mechanism just for estimating quantities, 2, 4, 6, all of that. And then there's another one, like a reinforcement model almost, that actually sharpens the accuracy of those estimates. But that second mechanism that actually refines the initial guess doesn't work on really large numbers. So that's why it's so much easier to look across the room and be like, oh, there's probably like 20 people in there. There's probably like 8 people in there. There's probably like 30 people in there. And it's so hard to look at a stadium and be like, is that 40,000 people? Is that 20,000 people? I don't know. Because the second guess doesn't have the second mechanism helping me refine the estimate. Isn't that crazy? Like, who would have thought that we'd find these two different parts of the brain working together like that? And it kind of makes sense from an evolutionary point of view because we usually dealt with things that were reasonable to count, right? And the researchers back that up by finding that it's not unique to humans. Many animals also have a number sense, and it's critical for their survival, so it evolved in them too. And if you're wondering about how the study was done, it involved epilepsy patients, and they implanted electrodes in their brain, and they confirmed the presence of specific neurons that respond to certain numbers. I was like, this is getting crazy. All right, let's talk about grief, or at least the 5 stages of AI grief. All right, so as an AI fan, you're going to find this interesting. This author, Benjamin Bratton, he talks about the 5 stages of AI grief and explores how different reactions to artificial intelligence developments resemble the stages of grief. As a reminder, it's denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and then finally acceptance. And in terms of AI, it's denying that AI is there, then it's angry that it's taking your job, then we're probably going to progress to the stage of bargaining with it, like maybe we can work together, can we just this and that, and then we're going to just be depressed because it's going to get like the better end of that bargain, and then finally, hopefully, acceptance. I don't hope we accept it. If I had power, we would stop AI right now. I think it's too dangerous. Too many unknown unknowns, but it's coming. I'm just preparing myself for it. But in the article, he highlights all these human responses, a bunch of examples of stuff that like we talk about all the time on this channel, right? There's a part where he talks about the existential threat, which is what I think about a lot. So I put myself in the kind of bargaining category already. I'm maybe a little bit further along in these 5 stages just because I think about it more than the average person. But yeah, the big takeaway is that we should probably start trying to see it in the broader evolutionary sense and not get caught up with it, thinking of it as just like a technology or a thing or like an addition to the world we live in. But I'd be kind of curious in the comments below if you guys want to let me know if you feel like you might be somewhere on that chart. Like, do you think grief, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance? And I'd be curious in the comments below if you want to let me know, like, if you feel like you're at one spot on this, like, are you in the denial stage, the anger stage, bargaining stage, maybe depression, or maybe you're all the way to accepting that this is the future? I'd love to kind of hear your thoughts. All right, and if you need another reason to be concerned about AI, there's a new chip that uses AI to see through barriers, see through walls, basically. Like if you've ever been to the airport and like you have to stand like that and the thing spins around you, it's kind of like that. But now there's a little version that can be in all of our cell phones, and we can all have that power, and we can look at whatever we want and whoever we want. So scientists in Texas have developed a groundbreaking smart chip that can see, quote, through barriers. It uses medium frequency electromagnetic waves that's akin to the airport security scanners, but they're operating at a higher frequency. Skeptical still. I know that there is a lot of research around it, and it probably is generally safe. But yeah, they imagine the chip could be used eventually for non-invasive security and inspection purposes. I don't know. I think I can see more ways that will cause problems than be super helpful, but there are some ways it could be helpful, so maybe. So Roblox, every child's favorite kind of Lego building Minecraft-y kind of world, is pushing the envelope with 4D generative AI. So of course, traditional 3D AI focuses on creating static objects with 3-dimensional shapes, textures, materials, stuff like that. But when they say 4D, they're both building the 3D model, but they're also adding the element of dynamic real-time interaction in the 4D object. So this means the objects not only have shape and appearance, but they can also interact with their environment and other objects in very complex ways. For instance, a 4D generated avatar can move, animate, and interact with the tools and clothing around it, while a 4D generated car can drive, respond to physics, or interact with the terrain. And that's pretty cool because I guess they're training this not just like on objects, but on how objects actually move in the world. So just by generating the form factor of 4 tires and sort of a base, it's like, oh, you're a car. Now you can drive around because we sort of know how cars move. And just by default, it's like apply the kind of physics that would apply to a car. Or if it's a dinosaur, you should just know that this is how dinosaurs move. So it's pretty neat. It actually makes them functionally and physically responsive, which is what defines that 4th dimension of what they're working on with their AI models. So cool stuff. All right, now let's talk about social intelligence, because when Optimus and these humanoid robots are in our homes and working with us on a day-to-day kind of moment-to-moment basis, we're going to want to feel safe and connected to them in some sort of framework, right? It's not that important that ChatGPT is like socially intelligent, but it is, I think, that real-world drones and objects will be in the future. So when this author, Daniel Lehewych, wrote, "What is social intelligence?" I thought there were some interesting things to share with you. Like the fact that you can't really be socially intelligent unless you can both navigate social dynamics and also have empathy for people. So these AI models need to model what it is that we need in the world and do it fairly accurately so they understand when we're scared, when we're happy, when we're making a joke. And then once you do understand that, that has to be applied to the robot to make strategic movements that match. Like if they're reading the situation wrong and they're acting with like a forceful tone because they think we're in a hurry, but they're just reading the situation wrong and we actually want some space, it's not going to be good. And this essay highlights the tension between individual creativity and social norms, right? And it's interesting because even in real life, there's no exact way to get this right. This article highlights the kind of difference between creativity and social norms and how those are almost always kind of at odds with one another. Talking about Vincent van Gogh, I didn't know a ton about him, but I guess he had some social isolation because he didn't want to show his artwork to people because they didn't like him, or he had this unique artistic vision that wasn't compatible yet with the world. And that's also why he's a pioneer though. So just as a tip for us, because we need to be more human than ever in this age of AI, true social intelligence requires empathy, clear communication of boundaries, and an awareness of one's own feelings, others' feelings. And it's just a nuanced skill that I'm going to be trying to work on and get better at, and we probably all would benefit from being better at. And the trick to that, honestly, is just constant reflection. You have to keep looking at yourself and the things that you're doing and asking yourself about them. Is it right? Did I act correctly? Kind of reevaluate when you make mistakes in social situations, and the whole time having some sort of sense of self, of who you are, and maintaining that authenticity the whole time. And I think if you do that most of the time in most situations, you'll mostly have authentic connection. Grimlock, do you know what time it is? No, Grimlock, it's research time. Check this out. Here's how he acts if Megatron comes around.
You Megatron tricked us! Make us fight good leader Optimus Prime! Prime risked own life to save us! Bad Megatron!
Pretty intense, huh? All right, the first paper we're going to look at is called Magic Insert Style-Aware Drag and Drop. All right, so first let's put a background on the screen. So we drag this over. All right, you got this yellow and blue super cartoony look. And then what if we take this chest, which has nothing like that on the scene, and drop it in? Watch this. I'm going to put this pirate chest in the middle of the room, and whoa, perfect blend of the new. That's crazy. Look at it's all yellow and blue and kind of looks like it belongs in that world from the depth. I would put a clown in this one, but actually looks like clowns belong there. But you never see a clown in the desert. Yeah, pretty good. You never see a clown in the snow. Ooh. Yeah, there's a fit in, kind of a little creepy. But how cool is that? You put the alien in some Japanese world. Maybe put in this chest too. You can even see in the chest this time lined up more directly with that line. It's just very cool. So in the background, the way it works is they're basically doing 2 different tasks. First, they personalize the style of the object to match the target image using a fine-tuned diffusion model. Second, they insert the object realistically into the scene using a technique called bootstrapped domain adaptation. And the results are way better than in painting. So I think think this is going to be a paper that we hear a lot about. Plus, along with the paper, they dropped this whole data set that other researchers can play with called subject plop, and it will help with future like training and testing and papers. So very cool stuff. Good job, you magic insert researchers. All right, next up, let's talk about this paper. It's called Mixture of Agents, Enhanced Large Language Model Capabilities. Okay, so we've talked about agentic workflows before where there's like multiple agents working together on something. We've also talked about chain of thought reasoning where you ask it to like think step by step and in a very constructed way. This paper is kind of mix between the two. There's a mixture of agents, so it's kind of like an agentic model, but they're actually in different layers of the model. Or maybe a better way to put it is that the agents are layered on each other. So they're not just talking to each other like as if they're all equals. Like some are more at the top of the hierarchy. Like there's like more like a CEO and like an executive team, and then like a management team, and then an employee team, and a designer team, and then outsource team. Like there's a hierarchy to it. But it's also not a pyramid. Like imagine there's also as many CEOs as there is like managers. Basically, each layer's agents are using the outputs from the previous layer to generate a better response to the layer above it. And by doing that whatever response you want from a large language model, it's giving you better output than any of the previous generators were doing, and better than normal GPT-4 output. It's just an interesting way to put all the agents together so they work together more effectively, more efficiently, and then they refine each other's responses in a way that makes more sense. I mean, now of course the cost goes up, it's more computationally expensive, but you can see the score goes up quite a bit, up to 65 on this. So it's true what they say, teamwork makes the dream work. Although this chart's interesting because it does show it as very low in conscientiousness, especially compared to the other models. But overall, it does seem like it's the largest perimeter in a lot of these departments. Completeness, correctness, readability, and most importantly, harmlessness, it all excels at. Okay, now let's look into some research that talks about why it is exactly that AI has difficulty understanding and conceptualizing time. And to me, right off the bat, it's like you train it on the internet, which is just a giant data set, but it's not exactly time itself. Like we learn about things in time, then we type them all out, and then they're just all there on the page. And technically it's because time is an abstract concept. It's a concept that we've created in our head. It's not, I mean, it is a thing. It's a physical property of, result of entropy, but it's without any sensory correlates for the data for the systems that we're using. Unlike tangible objects, like they are actual things that the systems can see and understand. So the thinking is that humans understand time because we go through this continuous experience. We have memories. We have a sort of order that's happened even before our first memory. We were already picking up on like the linearity of like seconds ticking by. Whereas a tool like ChatGPT lacks any ongoing memory, no context between interactions. They're just like, here's a question, here's statistically the answer, boom. It doesn't think about the question I asked 1 minute ago as opposed to what I'm going to ask in 1 minute from now, as in any kind of sense of order. But maybe, what if all the data that's fed in during training and all the questions that are asked during inference and all the reinforcement learning that it gets to fine-tune itself all come with a clock, a timestamp in them? Would the system start picking up on the timestamp? Would it start sensing time? Would it start understanding time in a deeper way? Jury's still out. Research is ongoing, but maybe it would actually understand that, at least it would understand what's happening with the timestamp, even if it didn't internalize time the same way we do. And it would probably pick up on that pattern, and it might have a deeper understanding of time, even if it's a little bit different than ours. But of course, that adds complexity and data engineering challenges. So I don't know, maybe a test model would be interesting to work with on that. But I do think that the argument is that if it was trained with enough time-sensitive data, it understood time in the same way we do. We have so much time in time that it doesn't. That's why it might not know what it is. But these systems might pick up on the concept of time and use it naturally in their outputs in the same way we do. So I think it's coming soon. So here you can see, by noticing and predicting the changes in the clock, the girl lays the groundwork for her understanding of duration. I'm bored, I'm late, I don't have time. Time is linear, going from the base problem solving to explicit objective ideas. All right, so I was getting a little bit worried. I was kind of trending down after 7K. I went to 3.4 and then 4.8 and 3.3. But the Matt Wolf podcast, thanks again for coming on. That was really fun to talk about all that crazy stuff with you. Did well. And then my latest video looks like it's doing well again too. So with the Matt Wolf video, I did make $31. And very interestingly, it was not doing well at the end of day 1, I was at the low end of my average, and then it just kind of caught on. So maybe because he's kind of a big name in our space, it like ranked or something under search. I don't know. Let me know if you found that video in like a unique way, because it is very unusual for me to be down here and then move to the top end of it like that. But yeah, it looks like the audience that's interested in him is very similar: United States, UK, Canada, Germany. He of course brings a higher female ratio to the table, so we had to, you know, careful guys, there was 0.7 females in the comment section, so watch yourselves. So the question that had the biggest spike in the whole podcast was, will Microsoft and OpenAI achieve AGI first out of all the other tech companies? So that's the one you guys really wanted to see him answer the most. So maybe I'll have to cover more of that race dynamic between like which company is getting closer to AGI or something more, if that's what you guys are interested in. I clicked on the video thinking it was just Matt Wolf, and I was confused when I saw it was your channel. Well, we were talking about our favorite movies. Hot take, I love Chappie.
I suck at making predictions. I clicked on the video, thinking it was just a Matt Wolf video, and was confused when I saw it was your channel. Oh, hot take, I love Chappie.
Oh! Alright, that's it guys. Hit subscribe. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching.